tremendous night for our program, and I say that with, obviously the guys sitting to my right and their teammates in the locker room, but also with all the guys that were back, not only the Final Four teams, but the other players. We had a lot of other former players that were back, and it just, I think, as I told these guys in the locker room, it exemplifies how special it is to be part of this program, how important playing for the front of the jersey is, and they got a chance to experience how special this place is tonight, and obviously we packed a lot in with the two teams back and Coach Ryan having the banner raised, and then how these guys played. I mean, I think I was most proud of the response when it was 65 all. That showed me the guts and the toughness that is starting to develop with this group, and I've always felt we could score, but we had to add some other things to our repertoire, and it's a good step in the right direction. So I'll turn it over to these guys.
Take questions for the players.
Yeah, questions for the players. Mark up front. Got a mic for Mark, please.
John, that was your 2 points off of the single game program record for points scored, but you also drew like 13 fouls. That was a huge part of your night. What was key to, getting so many fouls tonight and that part of your game?
Yeah, I just think being aggressive. Our mindset and mentality coming into this game was just to bring it to them and not wait for them to hit us first. And I think it really just showed how many times I got fouled.
Michael?
John, you were one of the players that was in at the end of the game last year that was just kept on going even as the game really went close. I guess, what did you learn from that experience? And a year later, kind of what are you thinking about? I guess the last Arizona experience that you had.
I just kept playing hard at the end, no matter what we scored. But I think we used a lot of things that we did down that stretch at the end, like that opened up the game at the end for me. We used it today, as you can see, like the baseline rips, drawing fouls. So that's what we learned through the film and stuff like that, yeah.
Nick, go ahead and then in the back.
Yeah, for John and or Mac, John Blackwell, a few weeks back, maybe a month or so at Big Ten Media Days, you guys both mentioned Jack Janicki was somebody to look out for. Just how was tonight like representative of that, and how can he continue to help push his team?
Well, I'll speak. He's my roommate.
Yeah,
but yeah, he just plays the game the right way, and as you can see, he gets rewarded for it. Doesn't do anything special, just plays the game, plays hard, makes the right reads, and makes the open shots. I'm proud of him. He had a great game, and I'm gonna tell him when to get back to the room.
Yeah, I guess just to build off that, the year he took last year to redshirt was he used it to the best of his ability and really took the weight room seriously and took, workout seriously on the floor. So I think it's just all kind of hard work paying off for him now. You'd love to see it, so.
Question in the back, fellas.
John Tonje, what you went through last year dealing with the injury, what did it do for your kind of hunger going into this season? And also, what was it about Wisconsin that made you think this was going to be the place for you?
Yeah, last year was huge. I never had time to just sit down and kind of reflect on my game and just what I wanted to be and where I can improve. I think it was great for me to just learn the game, take hours of film and self-reflection, just figuring out what I want to get better at and where I see myself going. And then as far as Wisconsin, I feel like I want to be a part of a night like this. I think we have a great, amazing coaching staff. Obviously, I put in a great game plan tonight. And I just want to be a part of something special. Today we had, alumni come in, and we celebrated some of the guys from the Sweet 16 teams, and it was just Final Four, even better. My bad. But I just want to be a part of this brotherhood, and just have this lifelong brotherhood going. So.
We'll go on here, and then Jim, and then Ben.
For Max, you've been here 3 years. When you're able to score 103 points, in a game, do you kind of expect that? The program that you come from, knowing that the style that you guys come from, when you guys are able to score this much, kind of what does it tell you about this program against such a team?
I don't probably get the ball to John Tonje. I mean, he had 40, which was crazy. We were just all kind of talking about in the locker room, like that's like, this is a night we'll never forget. Having a team like Arizona, who's a really good basketball, well-coached team coming in here and being able to have the Kohl Center full. It's everything you dream of as a kid. I mean, being an in-state kid's cool too, but I know like we all dream about playing in full arenas with the top 10 team coming in. But I mean, I don't know if like 100 is what we can expect, but I think that this team has a lot of different options, a lot of different ways we can put the ball in the hoop at a high level, whether that's Steve in the paint, or him finding guys on the perimeter, or, John getting into the paint, making stuff happen. I think we're a pretty versatile team. We can score in a lot of different ways.
Let's go Jim and then Ben and then Michael for the final 3 questions.
John, as the court was being stormed, it looked like you were just kind of taking it all in. You maybe know that, I don't know if you were expecting it at all. Is that kind of how you were in that moment, just kind of taking it in?
Yeah, just taking a moment. I had a great prayer before the game. I just wanted to soak in that moment. I think, just belief in God, just anything can happen. I mean, I was not expecting to have a night like this, but I guess, when you have a belief in a man like that, then anything can happen. And I was also looking up at my fam and stuff like that. They were in the house, so it's great to have that moment and, shake some of the guys' hands that were available and then, get back to the locker room.
Ben, in the back, fellas.
Max, the amount of fouls in the first half, it really kind of took momentum, I think, out of the game for both sides, but it felt like you guys never really lost a step. What did you attribute that to, that you guys were able to kind of play a pace that you guys have been comfortable with?
Came to the mini huddle every time talking about we can't control it anymore. We can only control what we can control, and we can't determine what a ref's going to call a foul or not. It's next play. I remember late in the second half, every huddle we came to was next play. Who cares? Like, it's the way they're calling it. And I mean, pulled everybody together and said the team that's going to complain about all the fouling calling first is going to lose. That's the team that's going to kind of fade and give in. So I think just our ability to keep our head down, not let outside noise, something we can't control, infiltrate what we had going on. And I think that's a credit to everybody on the staff, on the team, and that doesn't just like creep into the 5 guys on the floor. That's something we preach all the time: is control the controllables. You can't predict what's a foul and what's not. We can only put ourselves in position to be successful. So I think it's just the mentality we kind of had, guarding and kind of going at them then the whole night with how it was getting called.
Final question for the fellas. Go ahead, Michael.
Max, I think it was tied for a period of last year's game too. I mean, when they tied it in the second half, I guess what prevented this team from panicking?
I don't know. I think you got to credit to just our preparation. We prepare better than any other team in the country. I think the values and the habits that we practice in the off season shine through at the most dull moments and the brightest moments. Like Coach said, when it was 65-65, there was no dwelling, there was no back and forth in the huddle, anything like that. It was, move forward. It is what it is now, and all we got is the 16 whatever minutes to improve on it. I think that kind of shows our maturity as a team that we got this year. We're much older, maybe not much older, but we're older. It feels like for sure. But that's what you get when you just got a lot of like-minded guys who can come in and compete day in and day out. It doesn't really change when you got to go out there and perform on the court.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it.
Rest. Rest close. All right, Coach. Rest, bud.
We'll start out with some questions for the coach. Mark, go ahead.
Greg, I want to go back to 65-65. You kind of talked about pulling away at that point. What did you see? What kind of stands out to you a little more specifically about what you saw, what you liked about your guys that helped get that separation?
Yeah, they didn't flinch. They didn't panic. We took the timeout, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to take a lot of timeouts because we had burned 1 or 2 on the out of bounds, trying to get the ball in. But the response, I think that's the biggest thing. We were able to get it to a 5-point game, 70-65, and then we just we didn't do a great job keeping the ball out of the paint. We obviously didn't do a great job keeping them off the glass, but which we knew was going to be a problem. But getting to the free throw line and having an answer, I think, was big. Obviously, John hit some big shots during that stretch too. So it was just the response, I think, is the biggest thing. They can score with the best of them in the country, and we knew that we were going to have to score to win. It wasn't going to be one of those that we were going to hold them to 65 points and where you're gonna have to put some points on the board.
Question in the back, Coach.
Coach, I'm sure you'll look through the film and see a lot of shots you didn't like tonight, but like you mentioned, at least offensively, it looked like this team just never tensed up, and naturally, I think, games like this, you see guys get stagnant. Well, why do you think this thing's come together, so quickly offensively, and how do you think this group just balances kind of letting it loose versus when it's the right time to find a good one?
Yeah, I think, Max made a good point about us, them being older, mature. I think that's our better teams have always been our older teams. And now, obviously, the landscape of college basketball, it can test you in that if you can stay old. And obviously, having John come in, Tonje, and the other guys, Hunter and Amos, that have had some experience in college, I think that helps. That when you're in those environments or in those type of games like that, they played in college, regardless of where it was or what level it was. They've got some college experience, and I think you can't put a price tag on that, so to speak. The experience that comes with older guys is a big benefit that you can handle success. That's what we talked about at halftime. We played pretty well in the first half, and you have a lead, but you got to handle success, and then to be able to handle when they had us on the ropes a little bit there when it was 65 all. The response back to that, I think, really boils back to the maturity and experience that was on the floor.
Michael up front here.
Obviously, these types of games teach you a little bit about your team, but did you have any idea coming into the game that this team had the ability to play this clean, this in control, just with how they were able to win at the margins and that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt we were pretty efficient and diverse offensively. We have a lot of pieces that can score, and obviously a lot's been made about how we've kind of tweaked some things offensively with this intent that we know where the game is going, where you have to score. And there's still the defensive principles haven't changed. It's just harder to defend with how the game is called now. Hence, you see 87 free throws or whatever that was between the two of us. So, I think just the staying the course and making sure that when we can get stops with that, we've got a couple charges or one charge, actually two. Klesmit got one, and did Nikki get one, or Tonje got one? Those things still matter, and those things will be talked about tomorrow on film. I'm sure I'll find a lot of ball getting in the paint on us, which it did, and the rebounding. I mean, that's what they do. And I've watched 4 games of them this year, and they just pound, and we had to find ways to counter that. You counter that by getting to the free throw line. You counter that by making threes. You had to do something to counter what they do really well.
In the back, and then Jim.
Hey, Coach, what does a win like this do for the confidence of your team as you move forward this season?
Yeah, I think it shows what they can be, and it's really. I mean, we're only November 15th, or is it the 16th yet? Are we past midnight? But it shows what they can be, what the potential of this group is. I mean, we can talk about it, and I can tell them, but they have to go play and prove it out on the court. And I think tonight was it should give them confidence. I think we had all those Final Four guys in the locker room, and all the former players that were around. I brought them all in just so they could see, our current team could see, the past and the history of the program. And our former players love being around our guys. They're their biggest fans. So they all have the "make them believe," the slogan that they came up with that year. And we talked a little bit about that. Like, hey, you have to believe. You have to. But like I said, we got a long ways to go. We got a really good Rio Grande Valley team coming in on Monday. I told them they can enjoy it till about 12:05, 12:15 a.m. and then we're back in here tomorrow afternoon prepping.
Go ahead, Jim. And
Greg, the portal makes you evaluate guys so quickly. Is Tonje better than you even thought he might have been?
I'm seeing things that I saw when he was at Colorado State. And I think that the year at Missouri, because he was hurt, when I evaluated him, we evaluated him, I didn't watch any Missouri film. And I went right to the Colorado State stuff. And I know the program that they have there, what Nico does, and just seeing glimpses of what what he was doing there told me enough in the 5 minutes of film I watched. You know, because obviously in the portal you have to make, it's speed dating. We're making fast decisions, and he showed me some things there that I felt that there was a lot there to work with, and he was willing to learn and listen, and he's gotten better. I mean, that's a credit to him. He listens. He's very attentive. He asks great questions. He's really mature. So it's just, like I said, all those things help make him the player that he is, and it helps our team too, because the maturity he brings to it. Not that he's not, you know, joking around with guys, but there's on the court, you can tell there's, like I talked about the experience, it shows and with all our older guys and transfer guys.
Ben?
Greg, we talked to Bo after his ceremony, and he talked about how you've kind of taken his program and made it your own. I'm curious, how long did it kind of take you to kind of find your way as the head coach here and kind of not be in your mentor's shadow?
A long time. I mean, and you know, and he's been awesome in terms of, you know, I bounce things off him. He has questions about how the game has changed, what this portal NIL world is like. You know, just he's been my biggest fan. You know, there's no doubt. But obviously, you're stepping into some pretty big shoes. You know, so. But I've got a great staff around me. I've had really good players. But you do have to be your own person, you know, and how we've tweaked some things and changed some things, and tried to continue to move forward with where we saw the game going. But we still have had the core principles are still the same. You know, it's still, you better take care of that ball. You know, you better defend. We want to get to that free throw line. I mean, those things, how we do it, how we bake the cake, maybe is a little different, but we still want, you know, the results at the end of the day are still what matters.
We had our final question, Nick.
Hey, Greg, what stood out about, you know, the defensive effort from guys like Cam, Max, JP, on a star like Love holding the 2 for 13?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, Coach Krabenoff did an awesome job with the report. I think he knew which hand everybody opened the bathroom doors with. There wasn't much that went undetected. And they, you know, obviously John got the 2 fouls, so he was a primary guy initially, and then Kles picked him up. I know Cam had him for a little bit. Janicki might have even had him for a few possessions, but, you know, just we didn't want to let him get in a rhythm. Obviously, he's a terrific player, and getting him in foul trouble helped. That's the best way to slow down a score, have him sitting on the bench. But there's fouls, so many fouls, I couldn't keep track of who. And I was rolling guys in and out, just trying to buy time. And I mean, I'm sure some people fell out of their seats when I played guys with 2 fouls. And I've never, you know, I rarely do that, but I felt we had to continue to weather the storm. And I mean, they're too good that they weren't going to make a run back at some point. So I think, you know, we did a better job of we made looks hard for him. He didn't have many easy ones. That's a credit to our players.